Hello, health champions. Today I wish to discuss 10 superior foods capable of mending your cardiac system. To grasp the fundamentals of this recovery, let us first examine what actual healing entails. Primarily, to reinstate functionality, repair tissues, and reconstruct our physique, we require specific building blocks. Therefore, we must supply these essential elements directly through our nutritional intake. These fundamental components must include high-grade proteins and fats, comprising necessary fatty acids, amino acids, and naturally vitamins plus minerals. The biological fabric we are discussing refers to the cellular structure of the human body. We are perpetually degrading and exhausting our cells, necessitating their substitution with fresh replacements constantly. Consequently, the physical form you possess today is 90% distinct from your previous self. Since 90% of your cellular makeup is new compared to last year, we require premium ingredients for this exchange. To propel this biological mechanism forward, we simultaneously require a source of pure energy. Every physiological event within the system demands power, requiring fuel that burns cleanly without generating collateral damage. While we attempt to rehabilitate this tissue and cellular function, we must avoid creating further harm along the way. Most importantly, we must cease the activities that caused the initial injury to the system. This implies that we must halt inflammation, eliminate oxidative stress, and remove toxic substances effectively. These harmful elements are artificial additions rather than whole foods, such as preservatives, additives, and agricultural pesticides. We also face heavy metals and synthetic chemicals in our surroundings, cleaning agents, and personal hygiene items. The more we can purify our lifestyle, the significantly more we decrease the total physiological burden. Subsequently, we incorporate items people typically consider first, such as medicinal flora and herbs with specific healing attributes. These might possess antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, or antifungal traits that assist in restoring equilibrium and internal cleanliness. However, we do not commence with herbs, but rather start by supplying correct nutrients and eliminating harmful inputs. We will begin with provisions rich in omega-3 fatty acids, specifically fish like salmon and sardines. Other varieties exist. Primarily oily fish and small mackerel also serves as an excellent nutritional option. However, larger species tend to harbor more heavy metals and pesticides due to their position in the food chain. They have existed longer to amass these toxins, making smaller fish a safer dietary choice generally. The vital components we require are EPA and DHA, fatty acids that integrate into cell membranes. Since we are constructing healthier cells, we require superior components to form their structure. A crucial concept I must convey is that virtually every food is beneficial for some, yet detrimental to others. We must comprehend the specific factors that determine whether a food is helpful or harmful to your unique biology. Generally, these fatty acids assist in lowering inflammation, provided you do not have an adverse reaction to them. Fish also contain minimal anti-nutrients compared to plants, which possess defense mechanisms to prevent consumption. However, fish may contain histamine, a chemical messenger the body synthesizes naturally for various functions. While it serves important roles, some individuals are sensitive to it, and excessive accumulation causes negative effects. If you possess this sensitivity, consuming too much histamine can essentially trigger allergy symptoms. Histamine is a vital signaling molecule used intentionally by the body, yet situations arise where we accumulate an excess. Individuals suffering from airborne allergies, for instance, are experiencing an exaggerated reaction due to histamine overload. This compound also signals gastric acid secretion for digestion and influences sleep cycles and cognitive function. It is a normal and crucial compound, yet we must maintain it within a balanced range. Because it is natural, the body produces it primarily within white blood cells known as basophils. Additionally, internal bacteria and environmental bacteria can produce it, and it accumulates in spoiling food. Consequently, consuming leftovers is occasionally less ideal than eating fresh meals due to increased histamine levels. Aging foods intentionally, such as cheese or wine, also increases histamine development during the process. Fermentation, while generally extremely healthy, creates bacteria that may also increase histamine risks for sensitive individuals. Another significant source originates in our gut bacteria, where an abundance of histamine-producing strains can sensitize you. The next category of omega-3 rich foods is plant-based, including flaxseed, chia seeds, and walnuts. Flax and chia are the most abundant sources, with few other rich plant alternatives available. Plant omega-3 is called alpha-linolenic acid, or ALA, which is distinct from fish oil. The body cannot manufacture ALA, classifying it as an essential fatty acid we must ingest. However, the body ultimately seeks EPA and DHA, which it can synthesize from ALA. By consuming EPA and DHA directly, we supply the final product, rendering conversion unnecessary. Unfortunately, the conversion rate from ALA to EPA is incredibly poor, making plants a suboptimal source. It is typically insufficient to rely solely on plants, as only 1% of ALA might become DHA. Thus, I consider EPA and DHA more essential, despite ALA holding the classical definition of essential. Nevertheless, plant omega-3s still assist the body in reducing and balancing inflammation levels. Consuming them helps balance omega-6 intake, preventing the severe imbalances often seen in modern diets. Simply eating more of these foods helps you equilibrate that inflammatory ratio. Despite these positives, some individuals react poorly because these seeds contain phytates, which are anti-nutrients. These compounds can cause digestive distress for some, which ironically creates more inflammation. Therefore, it is not as simple as stating that omega-3 foods always reduce inflammation for everyone. Phytates can also block mineral absorption, binding to nutrients in the meal and flushing them out. This reduces the absorption rate of minerals, though it only affects the specific meal being consumed. Another omega-3 source is grass-fed meat, which is nutrient-dense despite not having massive omega-3 quantities. If the animal lived naturally and ate grass, the meat will possess a healthy nutritional ratio. This helps balance omega-6 intake and is free from the anti-nutrients found in plant sources. However, aged meat can contain histamines, which again may cause reactions and inflammation in some people. Cod liver oil is likely the most abundant, easily available source of these fatty acids. It contains plentiful EPA and DHA along with rich amounts of vitamin A and vitamin D. This oil is the most bioavailable form, meaning it requires no conversion by the body. However, cod liver oil can contain histamine and is so potent that toxicity is a risk. If consumed regularly, you must determine your tolerance and measure vitamin levels to avoid overdoing it. High-sulfur foods, primarily plants like garlic, onions, broccoli, and cabbage, are also very healing. These foods support vascular health, reduce inflammation, and aid the liver in detoxification processes. They contain amino acids that are precursors for glutathione, the body's primary internal antioxidant. However, these sulfur-rich foods can cause severe bloating and digestive upset in certain individuals. This usually occurs if there is an overgrowth of bacteria in the small intestine that degrades sulfur. These bacteria produce hydrogen sulfide gas, leading to bloating and significant discomfort. You might wonder why nutrition must be so complicated and what remains safe to eat. A reliable method is to examine our ancestral diet, which likely resembled a paleo lifestyle. This serves as an excellent benchmark and foundation for what humans are biologically designed to consume. We must ask how our ancestors coped with these compounds as they ate a wide variety of foods. They consumed oxalates, phytates, and histamines, yet they learned to process them effectively through fermentation and adaptation. The answer is that these compounds are largely beneficial to your microbiome rather than you directly. Our ancestors possessed a balanced bacterial flora that could produce or degrade these compounds efficiently. Modern lifestyles have disrupted this balance, allowing bacteria to flourish in the small intestine where they should not be. Imbalances like H. pylori have also become common, creating inflammation and leaky gut issues. This allows compounds and toxins to enter the bloodstream, triggering various food reactions. High-nitrate foods like beets, spinach, and pomegranates are also incredibly beneficial for heart health. These nitrates assist the body in manufacturing nitric oxide, a signaling molecule that causes vasodilation. Vasodilation relaxes and widens blood vessels, allowing for increased blood flow to the muscles. This can alleviate conditions like angina, which results from constricted vessels restricting blood supply. However, beets and spinach are high in oxalates, potentially causing kidney stones or digestive issues. Pomegranates also contain histamines, presenting another potential sensitivity for certain individuals. When discussing nitrates, many worry about sodium nitrate preservatives used in processed deli meats. The primary risk with sodium nitrate arises when it is combined with amines and high heat. This combination creates carcinogenic nitrosamines, but the nitrate itself is not inherently a carcinogen. While grilling vegetables could theoretically form nitrosamines, their antioxidants largely offset this effect. Healthy fats are the superior energy source for the body, provided they are stable and clean. Avocados are an excellent source, with over 70% of their fat being monounsaturated. However, avocados can contain histamines, making them unsuitable for those with specific sensitivities. Olives also provide monounsaturated fats and are technically fruits, lacking many plant anti-nutrients. They contain polyphenols that fuel beneficial gut bacteria, though some people may react to them. While olive oil is stable, it is not as stable as saturated fat and can go rancid. Almonds offer healthy fats but are loaded with oxalates and phytates, which can cause issues. Overconsuming almond flour on a low-carb diet can lead to developing sensitivities due to these compounds. Pastured eggs are another superb source of healthy fat, provided they are not mass-produced. Industrial eggs often have poor omega ratios, whereas pastured eggs maintain a healthy balance. Eggs are nutrient-dense, containing choline, which is beneficial for the heart and liver. However, like many other foods, eggs can contain histamines that affect sensitive individuals. Organ meats like liver and heart are incredibly nutrient-dense but are rarely consumed today. They are packed with vitamins and CoQ10, which is essential for cellular energy production. Organ meats lack plant anti-nutrients but are high in histamines, requiring caution. Cod liver pâté is another potent source of nutrients but can quickly become rancid. It is so rich in EPA and DHA that it reacts with oxygen almost immediately. Like the oil, it is high in vitamins A and D, carrying a risk of toxicity. You must determine the appropriate dosage and avoid consuming it daily to prevent adverse effects. Antioxidant-rich foods are crucial for counteracting the oxidative stress created by energy production. Blueberries are high in anthocyanins, which improve vascular health and neutralize free radicals. However, they contain oxalates, which can be problematic for those with sensitivities. Dark chocolate or cacao is another powerful antioxidant source, rich in flavonoids and magnesium. It supports vascular health but also contains oxalates and histamines, requiring moderation. Green tea offers catechins that reduce oxidative stress but also contains tannins and caffeine. Tomatoes provide lycopene, known for balancing cholesterol and reducing oxidative stress. However, as nightshades, they contain lectins and histamines, which can create gut problems. The complexity arises because these foods are inherently good, but our bodies have become imbalanced. We live in a man-made world that has altered our metabolic environment through processed inputs. Insulin resistance and environmental toxicity have created a level of burden humans have never faced. We have developed an obsession with sterilization, wiping out beneficial bacteria we actually need. This leads to dysbiosis, an imbalance where gut bacteria can no longer process food correctly. Antibiotic overuse and processed foods have caused the extinction of many beneficial bacterial species. Stress and viral infections further disrupt gut health, creating leaky gut and altering flora. Fiber is generally beneficial but can aggravate those with pathogenic bacterial overgrowth. Chia and flax seeds offer fiber and omega-3s but contain phytates that block minerals. Sweet potatoes are nutrient-dense tubers but are high in carbohydrates and can raise blood sugar. While better than junk food, there are superior alternatives for strict blood sugar control. FODMAPs are specific carbohydrates that can cause severe bloating if you have bacterial overgrowth. Citrus fruits like lemons provide vitamin C and flavonoids with low anti-nutrient content. I prefer lemons over oranges due to the lower sugar content, which is better for insulin resistance. Bell peppers are nutritious but belong to the nightshade family, potentially causing lectin issues. Fermented foods like sauerkraut and kimchi are heart-healthy and help populate the gut with probiotics. You must feed these probiotics with prebiotics like garlic and onions, though these can cause bloating. Ultimately, these foods are beneficial only if you can tolerate them without symptoms. The long-term goal is not avoidance, but restoring the ability to tolerate a variety of foods. You should make changes slowly, paying close attention to which foods aggravate your system. Eliminate processed junk first, as you cannot heal while consuming chemicals and sugar. If a reintroduction makes you feel worse, stop and try again later or slower. If you struggle to make progress through trial and error, you may need professional assistance. Start with comprehensive blood work to understand your optimal ranges and overall health status. I recommend educating yourself on interpreting these results to truly understand your body. For tough cases, we now utilize microbiome DNA analysis and genetic testing to gather more data. Healing takes time, potentially a year or two for complex cases, but it is worthwhile. We have developed guided programs to assist those who need structure and professional support.